Yeah, well, for the first thing I think of is like you're Apple, like you're doing all right, like relax.
Welcome everyone to episode 1 of the Bennett Show. This is our premiere episode, and today we have special guest Drew Worrad. It's nice to have you on the show, Drew.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We're going to talk about a couple things today. A quick explanation of what the Bennett Show is going to be. It's just going to be, we're going to have one guest on the show, and then we're going to talk about a couple things, and then at the end we're going to play a game, in which case today is Jenga. So we're going to get started, and the first thing we're going to talk about is Apple. So recently Apple released an article saying that they pretty much slow down iPhones when they release a new iPhone. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I've seen this coming for a little bit. I didn't know all the details, whether it was legal, whether it's illegal, and I saw the article. I think it happened on like Christmas Day or like Christmas Eve or something like that.
I think so.
And yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, obviously I have an iPhone, and I refuse to update it because every time I update it, it gets slower, and then like to the point where I can't really use it. Then I have to get a new phone, and obviously I don't like buying new phones. So yeah, it's interesting how this whole lawsuit's going to turn out, whether a huge company like Apple will find an easy way to get out of this one, or if this is going to become, a big problem for them.
Exactly, and I know that Trump just released a new tax cut of some sort that allows companies to have more equity in cash, and I saw something that said that Apple could buy Netflix because of how much cash they're gaining from this tax cut, but with this lawsuit, do you think this is a good thing for the company Apple to do, as in slow down old iPhones so consumers have to buy a new iPhone, or the new MacBooks having no inputs on them, on the sides of them, so they have to buy adapters and stuff like that? Do you think that's good for the company as it brings in more sales, or do you think it kind of ruins their reputation a little bit?
Yeah, well, for the first thing I think of is like you're Apple, like you're doing all right, like relax.
Exactly.
But that's how they've gotten this far, is because they're always trying to find ways how they can make more money. And so yeah, like you said, with the computers now having no ports on the sides, you have to buy an adapter, and that's just one more thing you have to buy. Phones, you have to buy more. I think they realize that they have their customers, and their customers aren't going anywhere no matter what they do.
You just kind of lock them in.
Yeah, because I know I don't want to leave Apple and get another phone, because Apple has certain things that make you want to stay. They have iMessage, which is so helpful when you're out of the country and you just need Wi-Fi, or even when you have group chats. Like,
exactly, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, it's so easy to do that through messages. Also, FaceTime. It took Skype right off the map. It's something that you could just do right through your phone. It's usually pretty clear if you have a good Wi-Fi connection. So I think they realized they had those things there, and they kind of had their customers locked right in, and now they're seeing how much you can get out of those customers before they decide they want to leave.
Exactly. I think it's a good thing, because once you have the customers, they're not going anywhere. Once you get the Apple features such as iMessaging and FaceTime and stuff like that, that the customers aren't going anywhere. It's kind of like a fan base. Once you get someone to like a team, they're not going to go anywhere, and they're going to keep liking that team. So I think that they're pretty smart in what they're doing, and even though some people think it's wrong to slow down old iPhones, I think everyone knew it was already happening.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be fine in this lawsuit, and I think they're going to get out of it fine. So
yeah. It is interesting though, because like with the new Google phone coming out, I think this is the first time in a while that Apple's had a real competition.
Exactly.
Samsung and Motorola and LG, they all kind of fell off the map a little bit. Samsung tried to hold on, but they're not really there. They're there, but they're not. And so this new Google phone coming out, they advertised their new. It's kind of like an alternative for FaceTime. That's just the clearest thing ever, and I think this is the first company that's really posed an actual threat to Apple at the perfect time too, with this lawsuit coming out. It'll be interesting. A part of me wants to say Apple will be just fine because they're Apple and they have their customers locked in, like we said. But I wonder if Google will pose a threat.
It'll be interesting to see in the coming days, because I know Apple's their newer phones are starting to get more and more expensive, and I think if they can lowball them a little bit and get under what they're selling the iPhones for, that maybe they might be able to take away some of those customers. But in the end, I think that Apple will be fine, and I don't think it'll be that big of a problem.
Yeah.
The next thing we're going to talk about is the Stanford Prison Experiment. Or you've heard of the prison experiment, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
For those of you who have not heard what the prison experiment is, the Stanford Prison Experiment took place in 1971. Young men were divided into roles of prisoners and guards and put in a prison-like environment in the basement of the psychology department at Stanford University.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This experiment will be an extension of my research into the effects prisons can have on human behavior.
The study was meant to last 2 weeks, but I think it only lasted like 4 days because all of the people participating went nuts. I know one kid tried to quit the whole experiment, and the guy that was running it had to let him go because he was just going insane.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, when I read up on it, I can't believe that this was ever allowed. But I mean, it is 1970. There's a lot of things that could go on at that time without being a problem that you just wouldn't even see this day and age, or even come close to seeing. But yeah, when I read into it, so certain people were given the position of the prison guards, and certain guys were the prisoners, and they really had to take up these roles, and to the point where the prisoners weren't allowed to be called by their names. They had a number.
Why don't you make up your bunk, 8612?
I did, Mr. Correctional Officer.
Well, that's not what I see.
Hey, what are you doing? It's just me now!
And they were only called by their numbers. One time where this one guy got put into solitary confinement, and they had the prison guards made all the other prisoners. So this, first off, the solitary confinement, they put him in a closet basically with nothing in it.
Yep.
And they had all the other prisoners just banging on the closet door nonstop, just yelling this guy's number.
Because they didn't give him names, they gave him numbers. So.
Yeah, just and these prison guards were just becoming so power hungry, they were actually becoming prison guards, and making these prisoners sleep on the floor and stuff, and it just became just more and more crazy as the days went on. I
know, and eventually one of the prison guards, they would make these so-called prisoners that were actually Stanford students, they would make them do tons and tons of push-ups, hundreds of push-ups.
Why don't you give me 20 push-ups?
Shit, I can't even do 7 push-ups in a row, and they're making these college kids do hundreds of push-ups at a time just for an experiment. And I know one of the guards actually started to have an accent, a southern accent, and I know the prisoners started to call him John Wayne, and he kind of liked that.
Look at this guy. Thinks he's John Wayne or something.
You address me as Mr. Correctional Officer.
So, as he was going along with the experiment, these prisoners decided to pick him as the most hated guard, and I think the guard kind of took advantage of that and disciplining the prisoners, and I don't think it was a good situation for anyone, and I don't think that'd be able to be passed today. But if you were to be in this experiment, do you think you would be a prisoner or a guard?
Would you rather be a guard or a prisoner?
I don't think I have the qualities to be a guard.
Prisoner. Prisoner, I guess.
Prisoner. Sounds like it would be a little less work.
Prisoner.
Why's that?
Nobody likes guards.
Well, listening to how realistic this experiment turned out to be, I'd have to be the guard. I mean, the prisoners were literally put through prison. This was a real experiment. They were trying to find out real results.
This experiment will be an extension of my research into the effects prisons can have on human behavior.
And I wouldn't ever want to even test out being a prisoner in a prison, you know, let alone actually be in one. So I know some of the prison guards went crazy and power hungry, but I would still have to be with them. There's no chance I'd put myself as a prisoner.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't think I could be a prisoner. You know, just being a guard, like, I don't think I'd take it to the extent of gaining an accent and starting to discipline the prisoners as much as so-called John Wayne did. But I think the guard would be the safer route to go, because a prisoner, you really have no control of anything. And I think I'd have to go with being a guard. Now, do you think this kind of experiment, like, do you think when they were coming up with the idea, do you think they even thought about if this would be safe or not?
I can't see it not going through their head at all. I think when it came down to it, this was something that they really wanted to try out, and they tried to weigh the good against the bad, and I guess they must have found more positive than negative coming out of this experiment.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really predict something like these results really happening. I mean, people going actually, you know, insane, prisoners.
Good evening, gentlemen. How about we make this one a night to remember?
This is all real. They won't let you go. They won't let us leave.
Those are not prisoners. Those are not subjects. Those are boys, and you are harming them.
Turning into prisoners and bagging out prison guards, you know, becoming huge, you know, power threats. I don't think they could have seen that coming. But yeah, you wonder if any of that would have come to their minds when they were thinking about doing an experiment like this, because it's pretty edgy.
Or if they just kind of like brush it off their shoulder once they thought about it, like, well, we're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
But that is all we have about the Stanford Prison Experiment. Before we move on to our next topic, we're actually going to take a break and play a little quiz. Drew here is a big Family Guy fan, so I've come up with a list of Family Guy quotes. There's about 12 of them, I think, and I'm going to read them off, and he's going to have to tell me the character that said this quote. So
okay.
We will be back in 1 minute once we get all the rules under control. Okay, so the rules of this game are going to be pretty simple. I read the quote, you tell me who it's by. We're going to see how many you get right. This is going to be the first quiz we've ever had on the Bennett Show, I guess, but then again, it's the first episode. So I think we're going to do this once a week. We're going to have a quiz, and however many you get right, we can compare you to the future guests on the show. So,
all right.
The first quote I think we're going to start with is, okay, I'll just read it to you.
Are you going to do voices, or are you going to go into the monotone voice?
You know, I'll try to do some voices, but I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, okay.
So,
right. Fair enough.
So I'll see. I in all these quotes, I'm not really entirely sure how they were said because I didn't look them all up. But
all right.
Here's number one. So, is there any tread left on the tires? Or at this point, would it be like throwing a hot dog down a hallway?
Is that Stewie?
It is Stewie, 1 for 1. That's a good start for you, dude. That's good. Okay. Quote number 2. You're overreacting, Lois, and you can't spell overreacting without ovary, because you're a girl.
That's got to be Peter.
It is Peter. It is Peter. And please don't take any offense to any females watching that out there. It's just a show.
It's a show. It's not me. It's a show.
All right, everyone but Chris, keep your pants on and let's figure this out. This is a good one I found. I really like this one.
Well, that's got to be Herbert.
It is Herbert the pervert.
That's a hot start.
I couldn't have done a voice; it would have given away. Okay.
You want a popsicle?
You like popsicles?
Well, sure.
Then you need to come on down to the cellar. I got a whole freezer full of popsicles.
Okay, next one. I felt guilty once, but she woke up halfway through.
Yeah, that's Quagmire.
There you go. Jeez, he's a Family Guy expert.
Well,
okay, they're kind of easy to tell, but next one. I am not a dog, you fat bastard.
Meg.
That is Meg. Yep. What do you? 1, 2, 3, 5 for 5 so far.
5 for 5. Hot start.
Excuse me. Is your refrigerator running? Because if it is, it probably runs like you. Very homosexually.
Oh shoot. Is your refrigerator running?
This one, yeah. This one was gonna be tough. A lot of people could have said this one.
Yeah, I just Peter.
It is Peter. Ooh, keeping the streak alive. All right, on to the next one. When I stick this army guy with the sharp bayonet up my nose, it tickles my brain. Ha ha ha, ow. Oh, now I don't know math.
That still sounds like something Peter would say. Are you going Peter?
It is Chris Griffin.
Yeah.
Oh, the streak is over. Chris Griffin. This one.
I should have got the laugh. He always
Yeah.
does that stupid laugh.
This next quote might be one of my favorite quotes on the show.
Oh, I better get it then.
It's not actually a common character, but we'll see if you get it. Okay.
Well, it's a hint.
Here's the quote. I rode to town on an ass. Yo mama's ass.
Yeah, that's is that Jerome?
Nope. It is Black Jesus.
I rode into town on an ass. Yo mama's ass.
Oh,
Oh, that's one of my favorites. Yeah, that's a cutaway scene, so it's kind of tough.
No,
to
I
tell.
know that one. I knew it was a black guy.
Okay. Yep. On your mama's ass. We got 2 quotes left. Okay. I'm so hungry I could ride a horse.
Boy, I'm cooling off here.
This one's supposed. The pun on it was supposed to be eat a horse, but
yeah,
you know Seth Rogen.
I could ride a horse.
I'm so hungry I could ride a horse.
Peter.
It is Chris Griffin.
Oh, man.
It's alright, you got the first 6. That's good at least. Okay, last one.
I have to get the last
This one might be tougher too.
Oh,
It's not necessarily part of the family, but he's on the show.
Yeah.
Coming up, a New Orleans man says his socks are finally dry.
Okay,
that one's...
That's Tom.
Is that too soon?
That's Tom Tucker.
That is Tom Tucker. That's a good way to go out there, Worrad. That is a good way to go. You know, I didn't want that joke to be too soon, but you know, the flood in New Orleans, that was a long time ago, so we'll let it slide. So what did you get here? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you get the homosexuality one? Fridge running? I think you did. 6?
Yeah.
6, missed that one. 6 for 7, 6 for 8, 6 for 9. You were 7 for 10. 70%. That's not bad, man. You gotta watch a lot of Family Guy.
It's like a grade 11 math test.
It is like a grade 11 math test, you know.
So you get by, but you're not super excited about it.
There you go. Kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to say what I was just going to say, but okay.
All right.
Okay, on to our last topic, I guess, before we move to our Jenga to the death. We're gonna talk about a subject that, you know, it's kind of a touchy subject for some sports fans, and if you don't have the same opinion as them, they get very, very butthurt. So, I guess, to start it off, we're just going to talk about the comparison of LeBron James and Michael Jordan.
Yeah, jeepers. That's a tough one. This is the right time to do it, though, because I think they're both in their 15th season.
Exactly.
Well, okay,
well,
MJ's done.
He
played 15 seasons.
He came back from retirement again.
LeBron is, I forget if he's in his 15th or if he's...
I think he's in his 15th.
In his 15th season right now. So it's a good time to do it. It's tough because I never got to watch MJ really when he was in his prime, so I have to look at replays and stats. And
everyone's saying that a scoring leader can't be an NBA champion. I never believed that.
As much of that as I could. From what I see, MJ was a scorer. He was a better scorer than LeBron. And not only that, he has the rings to back it up. I mean,
exactly.
Yes.
Do you think the rings argument is even? Do you think that's valid when comparing the two? LeBron James?
It's tough. He had a team full of role players, of winners. It was at the right time in the NBA. There wasn't. I mean, there were good teams. Don't get me wrong, but there wasn't a Golden State sitting there every time, or very good Spurs team, when LeBron was in Miami. But so the 6 rings, that is a killer if you're a LeBron fan. And not only that, he has the 6 rings and
6 Finals MVPs.
6 Finals MVPs. Exactly. And so that's that's huge. That's crazy. And people will argue LeBron's defense. I mean, he's a great defender. Well, I pulled up the stats. I think...
I don't know if LeBron's even won Defensive Player of the Year, though. Like once.
He hasn't. I think MJ's got one, and he averages more blocks and steals per game, I'm pretty sure.
MJ does?
I think so,
okay.
Yeah. I could double check
I think
that.
I think LeBron might be a hair above him on blocks, but I'm not entirely sure about that.
Yeah, but where I'd want to pull for LeBron's side of this argument is, maybe this is because I got to watch him more than I watched MJ, but just the intangibles everywhere. I mean, he does so much for a basketball team, statistically speaking, but also not. I mean, he puts up rebounds and assists every game. I mean, he's close to triple-double numbers all the time.
Exactly.
He's starting to get a couple now in his 15th season, which is absurd. But as far as defense goes, he can guard all 5 positions. He can guard the 1 to 5 incredibly well. I mean, it is so hard to find a guy who can, guard DeMarcus Cousins in the post and then basically keep up with John Wall at the point guard position. You don't find that. And then he's somebody where when Michael Jordan was hot, you gave him the ball and you let him do his thing.
Because he could just take over the game.
Yeah, and he had that fadeaway that was, if he could hit it, you couldn't stop it. But LeBron, he didn't necessarily have that fadeaway. He has a good fadeaway and he hits a lot. But when he was hot, he would draw those double teams and then he starts kicking the ball out. So you didn't know what to do. You don't know when to give him that double team.
He didn't necessarily take over the game in a shooting standpoint.
Yeah,
but
he has, but not as much as MJ did. His basketball IQ is ridiculous, where he doesn't get so caught up and he doesn't get so hot where he's just throwing everything up. He realizes those situations and he moved the ball and gives guys easy layups, which I thought was incredible.
Exactly, and I'm still on the line with it because I never got to watch MJ. The only person I'm seeing is LeBron, and LeBron personally is the best basketball player I've ever seen watch, I've ever watched.
Yeah.
But then again, I've never watched Michael Jordan, so I can't completely compare them totally. But I guess the question you could ask is, if you had to start a franchise and you had to pick one player to start that franchise, would you pick LeBron or MJ?
I would pick LeBron. I think LeBron makes players around him better. You can argue all you want about Kyrie Irving leaving and really becoming a star in Boston, or Kevin Love being a star in Minnesota and coming to Cleveland and not being a big factor. It is tough when there are other stars on a team with LeBron because he is the star, right? Like, he needs touches because he makes other people better. But in terms of making players who aren't as good, there's no question. Michael Jordan could take a bad team and get good results out of them just because he could take over the game. LeBron can make a bad team do well because all of a sudden these other guys are getting points because LeBron's creating so much space for them. He's giving them wide open jumpers. He's giving them wide open layups. The guys that played more seasons, put up points for a longer amount of time, those are the ones that people remember and mark down as the greatest of all time. So LeBron's in his 15th season and MJ might have the edge, but I think LeBron's got, he's got at least a few more seasons in him. He's in his 15th season. He's doing things that he was doing in his first couple of seasons. So I think he still has a lot more in him.
Exactly.
And here we go. Oh! LeBron James
Well, you guys can be the judge of this. Comment down below in the comments who you think is better, LeBron James or Michael Jordan. And we will decide once and for all. And you guys know our opinions. And the next thing we're going to do to top off the show is we're going to play a game of extreme Jenga. So we'll be back with you in a second. Okay, we're back and we're ready to play some extreme Jenga. Rules of the game: you have to pull out a piece. If the tower falls, you lose, and you can't take from the top 3 rows. So rock, paper, scissors for who goes first?
Sure. All right.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Don't bring on, man. Always go on 3.
Okay, are we going on 3 or on shoot?
It's your show.
Okay, well, it is my show. Bennett Show. We'll go on shoot.
Dumb.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
What is that?
That's a redo. I don't know. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Frick, man.
Oh, you know, that's how you win. You just gotta mess them up a little bit. Okay,
There you go. Puck.
On speed.
That was fast.
Speed Jenga.
Oh, I hate going from behind.
That's what she said.
Nice. Michael Scott. Shoot, that was good. Oh,
Is it good?
this is very early for me to be.
There we go.
War.
We're going for all the middle ones?
What is it good?
We're gonna sing a song. Now I'll start, and when I point to you, you'll sing your part. Ready? War! Yeah! What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Okay, all right, good job.
Yeah, sure. I think I got another one lined up.
There you go.
Hey now, hey now.
We go for all the middle ones. Eventually, someone's gonna have to pull a side one, and someone's gonna lose. Oh, that one's gonna tie it. That one's not.
Oh, you're making this look easy. Oh, this one.
Let's give her a push. Oh, the middle one, you took
It wasn't
away.
leaning on it at all.
Okay, fair enough.
Is that another middle?
Oh yeah. That's all I'm going for this game is middles.
Hey, this one's in play now.
Take away the middles.
Oh, too bad it's not. Oh, ooh, ooh.
There you go. There's another middle.
This is gonna get dicey soon.
This is gonna get very, very interesting. Yep, another middle. Yep.
This one looks like it could move. Nope. Aha. This is gonna be a problem.
Where are these middles at for me? Nope. Nope. Oh, can't do that one.
Oh, shoot.
Wow, is this thing leaning?
Already?
Oh no! It was such a short game of Jenga. I cannot believe that just happened.
Shoot, that was fast.
Oh
what
my-
happened?
It was leaning. I could tell it was leaning, and then I looked, and oh my God, that piece wasn't even. That piece wasn't even like being leaned on by anything. I don't get this. Well, 0-1 in the Bennett Show games. Drew, it's nice having you on the show.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on the Bennett Show. Oh, watch this movie now. Stanford Prison Experiment. Hey, we're trying to film a show here, guys. It's playing now.